Hey everyone, it's Ben from Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures, and today we're going to show a kayak slash canoe cart that I've built for a few of my kayaks. I'm going to build a couple for canoes today, so there is a few differences from my kayak one. I will explain those as we go. But the gist of it is it's pretty simple. It's a design that basically drags with your canoe. It doesn't get strapped up underneath, and we'll show this later in another section of the video. But it's a very good system. It seems to really work well. Anytime I've taken it, people have really enjoyed it, asked questions about it. So I'm going to show how it's made and what we do. It's pretty simple. Almost everything can be bought at Princess Auto or a hardware store. The wheels I bought at Princess Auto, they go for about $23, although they do go on sale. I bought them before they went on sale, but these are 15-inch. I use 11 on my kayaks. They're just a little bit smaller. The rest is a half-inch steel round pipe that fits in the axle hole perfectly, and some PEX stuff. So I got some 3/4 inch with a half-inch and a half-inch T. These are going to go onto the axle, and I'll show you that shortly. And half-inch will come off, and that's the yoke that kind of goes around the boat, and we use 3/4 inch against the axle to hold it all together. So like I said, it's a pretty simple design. We do need to get a few measurements. So the measurements I've been going with, and this always can be adjusted a little bit to your own specific needs, but I go back to about 1/4 of the length of the boat and find the width there. That puts the wheels at approximately 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way back, or 1/4 of the way forward from the back end. And I find that's a good ratio for dragging it and balancing your gear on it. Try to put most of your gear on the axle when you go. So this one I'm going to build is for a 13-foot canoe. This 13-foot canoe is 22 inches wide at that 1/4 length mark. So we're going to measure the 3/4 inch pipe for that measurement. So and you do have to, PEX pipe is always a little bit rounded, so take a few seconds and just get it as straight as you can. It'll be fine when it goes on the axle, but just to get your measurement pretty good. So find your mark and just mark it off there. So I find you can cut this with other things, but the proper PEX cutters work pretty sweet. They do veer a tiny bit, but it's pretty straight and even cut. And there's the piece that goes over your axle. From there, you'll want 2 small spacers to go against the wheels, and that just prevents the yoke part from rubbing against the wheels. I find that about 1.5 inches is probably about plenty for that. You could go a little bit more if you want. But you do want to try and keep this thing so it's not obscenely long and won't fit in your boat when you're going to travel. So there, this would then slide onto your axle. I picked up some 1/2 inch inside diameter washers. And we're just going to do this to kind of get the overall lengths and stuff figured out. So there. That's a big part of the job already done. You see, it didn't take a long time. So the next thing for the axle that we will do is we're going to find the overall length, and we have to drill 2 holes, one on either end for the locking pin. So these are the locking pins I use. They're pretty simple. They have a pretty positive lock, and we'll get the size of that and we'll mark it. And what I'll probably do is drill one, get it in, and double check the length of my other one before I drill that one, because you don't want to make the mistake and drill both of them and find you're a little too close or a little too far. Then you'll have to cut some more piece of pipe to make up the difference or shave it down, and you may still have to do minor adjustments after. So we've marked one end, and we'll drill that. There's a couple ways you can do that. One is just with a drill and a clamp, or if you have access to it, a drill press would be a bit better. We show a picture of a drill, and we could try that, but I do have access to a drill press, and we'll probably use that just because it's a bit safer and a bit easier. The next part, like I said, this is for a 12-13 foot boat at the 22-inch mark across. So we're looking at about a 3 foot length there. So we're going to want the yoke part. Now that's a pretty easy part to make, and we're going to make that out of the 1/2 inch pipe. And we do this just to save some size. You could do it all from 3/4, have 3/4 inch tees, but and these are the ones we're actually going to crimp. And that's because this is all held together. It won't need it. What I'm now doing is just eyeing it up and making sure I'm happy with the 3 foot. Because I do have to keep in mind that this is going to go around a boat. And we do want to make sure that we're going to pull forward a little bit. Ideally you would have the boat with you. Unfortunately in this case the boat is at a friend's that this one's meant for. I feel like maybe just to be on the safe side, we are going to add 6 inches. That feels better already. So with use, this will straighten out a bit. And that is the gist of how it's going to look. So, our next point is to drill it and cut it to length. So we have an approximate 3/16. Just marking where I expect I'll cut it. We'll make the final decision in a little while. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to double check the diameter. So this is a 7/32 bit. It's a hair bigger than the pin, and we're going to want that because we want it to be able to slide in smoothly and easily. If we went with 3/16, I think it would be pretty tight. So what we can do though is pre-drill with that, because it'll be easier to step drill it. But I think it's going to be too tight to properly fit this in, and it's going to give us problems when we go to drill it, so to assemble and disassemble. So we'll probably end up drilling it a size. So that fits really nice. I don't think we need to go to the next size. So that was the 3/16, I believe. So we'll go with that. We will just touch up some of the edges with a file later, and I'll round the end off. But let's go up and start assembling this so we can find the location for the other hole. We want to put the hole right about there. Now I'm using the solid crimped. I don't know if the other ones would be any different, but I do like the solid crimp. I think it's a better system for this, but I'm sure the other ones would work adequately if that's what you have access to. It does look a bit more professional. See, I'm not. But ta-da! So essentially your canoe goes in here, sits on this. This comes up over the top and gets tied to the front of your canoe or kayak. You can grab that, and this is just going to guide behind. It'll self-adjust and always stay under your boat. You don't have to worry about it collapsing or falling out. So it's pretty simple. It's fairly lightweight and a pretty solid system. If you want it to take up less space, you can simply pull the thing apart. You do want to be careful not to lose any of the parts, but it would go down to simply the wheels and this. And you can tie this up all together and make it into a smaller package. I would probably just leave the spare parts onto the axle, and you can take the wheels off the axle and just pin them so nothing falls, gets lost. They'll just sit there loose. In fact, you can even save yourself a little bit of room. Use the main axle. Then it goes down to this, and this that you can tie to a gunnel or...
Very easily stored either way.
Yeah. Otherwise, I store mine on top of the boat with the wheels hanging off the sides, and it really takes up virtually no room. Although it may be look a little bit awkward, and it may sit in the water, which could add some drag. I don't think it would be significant enough that most people would complain about it. But just something to be aware of. So that's how simple it is to make.
What were we, all of less than an hour?
Less than an hour, and that's with videoing time. Honestly, if you can sit down and have it all planned out, it should take you about a half hour.